to Bodacious Estate Conversations, the podcast where we skip the polite small talk and get straight to the real story about handling a loved one's property. From unexpected challenges to the messy emotions nobody warns you about, I bring you unfiltered stories, practical advice, and clever shortcuts from people who've been there and the professionals who know the way. If you want honest answers, bold strategies, and the confidence to take control, you're in the right place. Here is your host, Casey King.
Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode of Bodacious Estate Conversations, I'm excited to chat with our guest whose community has been serving families for more than 80 years, known for its warm, family-oriented environment, outstanding resident care, and consistent 5-star reviews. He's currently the sales and marketing coordinator at the Autumn House, where they oversee daily operations, resident experiences, and a wide range of social, wellness, and enrichment programs that help residents truly thrive. He enjoys connecting with families, celebrating resident milestones, and finding new ways to make senior living more like home for everyone who walks through the doors. Let's give a warm welcome to Michael Holderman. I am so excited to have you on Bodacious Estate Conversations, Michael.
Thanks for having me on, Casey.
Oh, it's truly my pleasure. So today we're going to be diving into what families really want to know about senior living, from how communities operate to what daily life looks like and what families tend to misunderstand before their loved ones move in. Stick around until the end because Michael's going to share one of the biggest surprises families discover after their loved one moves into Autumn House, something that completely changes how they think about senior living. All right, Michael, so are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's dig right into it. So when families tour Autumn House for the first time, what's the biggest questions or maybe even worries that usually come up? And what do you wish they knew from the start?
Absolutely. One of the biggest questions I get is, when do we know it's time?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a hard question to answer because everybody's at their own pace and everything like that. But, it's always hard to make that decision. And, mom always dad wants to stay in the house as long as they can, and trying to convince them from moving from a big, beautiful home to a suite or a large studio apartment and stuff like that can be hard because nobody wants to admit they need help.
Yeah.
And so it's always a struggle on how and when would be a great time for the transition.
So with that being said, the Autumn House is a retirement community, not necessarily assisted living. So how much help, when somebody needs help, are you able to provide?
Absolutely. So it's very similar to assisted living, personal care is. So we're here to help with, if somebody needs help with cooking, cleaning, to and from doctor's appointments, help toileting, dressing, and everybody's at different stages. Some people don't need a lot of help. Some people may have went to rehab and just need that little extra push and a little extra help dressing and stuff like that as well. So we can do a wide variety of things. Just kind of depends on what that person needs help with.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you said you have the option of a studio apartment or a suite. What type of living quarters are available at the Autumn House?
So we have a wide variety. So we have sections that are a little more budget friendly. They could be a shared bathroom with one other person. All our rooms are private and everything like that. But some, what you're paying for is usually square footage. But there's a wide variety. There's some with half bathrooms, some with full bathrooms, some with suites, 2-room suites. We even have independent living here, and we also have memory care here as well.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. Very cool.
Absolutely.
So you guys have a consistent 5-star review. What do you think makes Autumn House stand out from all of the other communities that are out there?
We've been around for 80 years, and I think that really helps the reputation. Nothing new that pops up. We've been doing it for a long time, and we still have that family feel in our building as well. We really listen to the people that live here. Any changes made goes straight through the people that live here first.
Okay.
All our families are very involved. But we want it to have a warm feeling, and we really want their voices to still be heard, because when you hit a point like this in your life, it's tough because your decisions and your voice gets kind of taken from you in some aspects. So being able to have a voice and when you live here and stuff like that is very important to us.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Now, we touched on engagement, and I know I always go back to that show on Netflix where they talk about the blue zones, but like mental engagement is one of the key factors with making sure you're keeping your cognitive functions going. I probably butchered that, but what are some of the things that you guys do for engagement?
Yeah, so we have activities going on every day. We have a morning one, we have an afternoon one. Right now, they got live music going on, so all of them get together to listen to the music. But a lot of the changes that you see in your loved one when they come here is social, being social again, and that's like a new feeling in a way. And it's great because you get to see somebody, especially with COVID and everything that happened. Everybody got used to just being at home by themselves in the same routine of watching the same shows, eating the same food, taking naps throughout the day. And here it is routine, but at the same time, you have those people going through those same things that you are in life. And you see a big difference in about a month or two of being here, that they almost don't recognize mom. She's or dad, they're back into their old ways and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, the sense of community is so important. Being able to actually talk, like you said, having your independence. A lot of times I feel like people are reluctant to give that up. Like, I don't want to leave my house because I'm independent and I can do my own thing, or they want to think they can. But you're really by yourself a lot of times. You don't, maybe they might have somebody coming in every once in a while, but for the most part, you're kind of a hermit in some cases. And in this way, being part of that community, you'll have friends and build relationships. I think that's really key there.
Absolutely. And one of our biggest goals with that too is, with families, it's really nice because they're so used to being a caregiver that they don't remember what it's like to be a daughter or a son. And so
Yeah.
like that transition is huge because it's almost like, wow, like I get to be a daughter or a son. Like when I come and visit, I'm not worried about getting groceries or making sure they're taking their medications and stuff like that. They get to focus on actually spending time with mom and dad.
Yeah. That's so cool. So what kinds of like different activities? I know you mentioned there's live music right now, but what other kind of activities do you have?
Absolutely. We have bus trips. They do shopping trips. They vote on where they want to go, whether it's Brown's Orchard or Shady Maples, the casino. They vote on where they want to go. And then a group of them goes. And sometimes, different groups rotate who wants to go where. But between that, live music, not everybody loves bingo, but you can't take it out. You get a big crowd for that. And, happy hours. We still have happy hours here.
Oh, I
And
like that.
so, we had yesterday we had animals come and visit. We actually had a baby alligator here.
Oh, I don't
So
like that.
I'm not a fan of reptiles, but they really enjoyed that. Just something different.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, okay. So when, we were talking about common misconceptions. So what are other myths that could cause hesitation with somebody making the adjustment going into a community like yours?
The biggest one I get is, the families know, but the one, their loved one that they're wanting to move in, the hardest thing for them and in their head is they think that this is a nursing home.
Mm,
And it's really hard to get past that without getting them in to take a tour and actually see, like, you have your own bedroom. You have, like, we're not going to bug you unless you actually we have call bell buttons and just like a nursing home or anything like that. But we're not bugging you unless you hit that button. I still have people that drive. I still have people that cook. I still have people that can do tons of things for themselves.
nice.
So when they do come in, they realize that they're not sharing a room. It's not tiled floors. There's not a curtain that separates them. I think that it's really hard to convince mom or dad or any of the loved ones to come in and just take a look. and because they always get that feeling that it's going to be a nursing home.
Yeah, I can see that with a lot of my past clients, and having that reluctance. I could definitely see that. So when the families, we talked about like how people know it's time. So if a daughter is looking at her mother and thinking like, I don't know, is this necessary? Can she still be on her own? Like, are there signs that they should be looking for, like key indicators?
Yes. So one of the biggest signs, obviously, like falls. You see a lot of
Mm.
falls. One of our biggest ones is med management. That is probably 90% of the reason why most people move in here. Mom or dad is not taking their meds like they're supposed to, and it leads to dizziness with falls, or um, health issues and all that kind of stuff, high blood pressure, diabetics not taking their sugars correctly and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
would say 90% of the people that do move in is mainly med management.
Mhm.
The other
That
ones
makes
are health issues such as falls and stuff like that. um, but those would be the two biggest ones for sure.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. I had clients last year who their elderly mother lived with them. So multi-generational home. They helped her with everything, and they were telling me about their old golden retriever who passed away, and just wanted, loved having the dog. And I said, well, did you ever think about getting another dog to bring into your household? And their reply was they couldn't bring a dog into the house because of mom's meds. She would drop them on the floor, and when they vacuum, you could hear them like cleaning up going up the vacuum cleaner. She's like, there's no way I could have a dog in the house with the medication being dropped on the floor
Yeah.
like it was. So I can definitely see that. That was a long story to say I understand that concern. Okay. So what about that transition emotionally? So if they are a little reluctant to give up that independence and come in, like, what's the emotional transition to go from, I don't know if I want to do this, to, a couple weeks later, like you said, being, oh, this is like a social event. What's that
Yeah,
like?
it usually takes about a month to get used to things. Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's always, that thought of buyer's remorse. Did I do the right thing? And that's both the family, the loved ones, and the people that are moving in. That it's always, did I do the right thing?
Mhm.
And after a month, you start seeing your loved one going out to activities and stuff like that, and kind of opening up, because when you start seeing people that, it's not uncommon to see a walker. You know, everybody moves a little bit slower, and you're around a lot of like-minded people. So you do see after that first month a little bit of an adjustment, and a little more comfort. They find their group. It can be kind of like a high school here. You find your cliques and everything like that, and once you find it, it's smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. I can see, parents' hesitation to going out and enjoying their family because they think they're going to hold them back because they don't move as quickly, or they think they can't keep up with the rest of the family, so they'll decide to kind of hang back. So I can see being part of a group where you're with, not only like-minded people but also like-bodied people. Having that hesitation kind of fade away and be like, oh, we'll just all do this together. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes sense. So we started talking about a little bit before the financial piece of it. So um, insurance, does insurance come into play with the housing?
In the state of Pennsylvania, it does not. The
Hmm.
only insurance that places personal care homes can take is long-term care insurance,
Good to
and
know.
yeah, the rest would be private pay. Now, there are some benefits for like veterans out there, called aid and attendance, that does help pay for either the veteran or the spouse if you qualify. But other than that, all personal care homes are private pay.
That's interesting. And can you say the name of that again? The veterans one.
Aid and attendance. So
Aiden.
I use the York Veteran Affairs
Hmm.
quite a bit to help that. It's a free service, veterans helping veterans type of
Yeah.
thing. And they're amazing. They do great work over there.
It sounds great. Yeah. So how do you help navigate the financial concerns with families? I'm sure that's something that comes up often.
Absolutely. One of the biggest questions I get as well is, what happens when mom or dad runs out of money?
Mm.
And, we try to help as much as we can, but at the end of the day, it is private pay. So there's no real easy answer to it. The next step
Right.
would be Medicaid, which is accepted by nursing homes. So, the biggest thing I tell my families when they come in is, definitely talk with your financial advisor, or if you have an elder law attorney, those are very important things to do. Because, everybody wants the big giant room, but maybe that's not the smartest way to budget,
Right.
because you never know. You can't predict health. Now, age is inevitable, but at the same time, you can't predict the health. I have a 109-year-old at my West location, and nobody was predicting anybody to live 109.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to definitely budget for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do feel like just as a society in the United States, we are living longer year after year with modern medicine. It's just keeping us going. We're also looking a lot younger these days. I cannot tell somebody's age by looking at them anymore. I used to be able to. It's impossible these days.
Absolutely. I got a couple 100-year-olds that can run circles around me right now. So it's a little crazy on how I know 20 years ago, 80 was old,
Right.
and I'm seeing people moving in their upper 80s and 90s, and they're still healthy as can be,
Yep.
and it's just, it's a little bit crazy how everything has shifted with medicine and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for it. I tell my husband that I'm going to live to be at least 120 years old. Right now, he just laughs at me, but I'm ready to well, not prove him wrong, but prove me right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, are there any like misunderstandings about the cost versus the value? So obviously they're going to be paying rent for the room, and like what else is included in that rent?
Yeah, so every building does something a little bit different when it comes to the care side of things. Like there's always like the room and board cost, but there's also care cost as well.
Okay.
So, in that way, that's how, they hire nursing staff. They want to make sure that everybody's taken care of. So if you have a building with tons of levels of care, higher levels of care, you have those people on the floor.
Mhm.
So everybody varies on how they do their levels of care. What we do is almost pretty much everything is included in the price. So that's, laundry, housekeeping, med management, cable, internet, all that kind of stuff is included in the price. The only thing that would make it go up would be the care need.
Well, that's nice to get rent and room service and a cleaning service and laundry. I
Mhm.
wouldn't mind that.
Not at all.
Now, you said different buildings. Autumn House does have two locations, right?
Yes. So we have two in York, and we have two sister companies in Lancaster as well.
Okay.
The Oak Leafs up there, and then we have three in the Williamsport area as well,
Oh, nice.
and one in Philly as of a couple months ago. So Quakertown.
Quakertown. Okay. Sure, sure. Very cool. Well, with all of that, what do you do outside of work? How do you entertain yourself or decompress?
Healthcare can be pretty stressful at times. So,
Yep.
I spend a lot of time with the kids. I got three kids. Um, and then I also do a lot of golfing on the side as well.
Nice. Okay. So, I mean, right now, for those listening, there's snow on the ground. So, do you take a break from golf during the winter months?
Absolutely. We did a lot of sled. We were able to sled this year, which was nice with this last snowfall. But Christmas time's awesome with the little ones. You got the Christmas lights, baking the cookies, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. But I have a 2-year one that just turned 2 that keeps me entertained for most of the nights.
That's fun. So, where did you go sledding?
I actually live right behind a park, so there's a nice little hill right behind there, so it's not too far away.
Very cool. Yeah. I used to train on Cadorus, there's a huge hill, and it was introduced to me, the hill was, as Suicide Hill. And after they told me the name of the hill, I asked, like, why is it called Suicide Hill? And they're like, oh, because kids go sledding and they like run into trees. And yeah, it's just got coined that. Okay.
My kids aren't old enough for that hill yet.
Yeah.
So we stick to a nice little fun one.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't trust it either. Sledding anyway. I did like training. I would run up it. I wouldn't sled down it. So besides golf and sledding in the wintertime and keeping up with your little ones, what do your little ones? So you have a 2-year-old. What are the other ages?
6 and 9.
And what do they like to do?
They're girls, so dad's not as cool anymore. They're just
Oh,
now getting
no.
into the makeup and talking on the phone and the iPads and stuff like that to their friends now.
Oh,
But it's all
that's
right.
kind of,
My little boy's 2, just turned 2. He keeps me pretty busy.
yeah, that's awesome. I heard he had a play recently.
Yes, actually just got back from his Christmas play for his pre-K, and
Yeah.
it was interesting. He just ran. I don't think he cared too much on the Christmas play, but it was nice to see him in action, playing with all the other kids and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for him. So do they come to the Autumn House? It's you and sorry, the reason I'm asking is you kind of grew up at the Autumn House, right?
Yes, not at the Autumn House. I'm originally from Missouri.
Oh, you started there. So tell us about that. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Ozark, Missouri, just north of Branson area, and always been around the senior population. My mom ran a bunch of different assisted livings and was actually the VP of Holiday, which is one of the biggest ones in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
So I was always bouncing around. My first job was washing dishes, all that kind of stuff, and really grew up in these places, assisted livings and stuff like that. So it's just something that I didn't think I wanted to do it growing up, but it was just something that drew me back in, at a young age and things like that.
That's cool. So I have a huge soft spot for the older population because of all the stories they have. And I could imagine like being a young person sitting down playing, Go Fish or Rummy or something with an older person and just listening to the stories. I'm sure you have so many of those memories.
There's lots of good stories you hear, but one of the things when you first find out about when you're around this one of these buildings is not all stories are like the Leave It to Beaver like you see on TV. They had fun back in the day as well, and hearing some of those crazy stories they're fun. It's not what you expect. You always picture your grandparents, cookies on the table, and they could do no wrong. And it's just interesting when you hear a sweet little 80-year-old lady tell you some stories that aren't as Leave It to Beaver and that era. And it's always interesting and fun because I think that people get a perception of the senior population. They just, they have it in their head what they think it would be like, and they're totally shocked when they come and either work here or they visit or anything like that, that it is not at all what they thought it was going to be.
I love that. Do you have any stories that you would be willing to share?
All right. So one of my favorite stories, a sweet lady named Joanne. I remember I was working the floor and I would always talk really kindly to her. And finally she looked at me and said, Michael, you know that we're not all these people that you imagine what we are. She's like, we drank so much that they actually banned alcohol and made it illegal. She told us that, me and the other person in the room, they're like, drugs weren't even banned while we were around. We did it. We made it cool where they actually made it illegal. And then it makes you really think about certain things on, like, what did they see growing up? It's not what we think they saw, like they literally drank until it was illegal, and they partied just like everything else. And she told me, she's like, you think bars were around when you turned 21? She's like, we had underground bars and all this other stuff. And it really, like, at that moment made me realize that these are real people living real things. And you see these movies and it's nothing like it at all. They had families that fought. They had families that, there was a black sheep in everybody's family and all that kind of stuff. And it really made your perspective on the whole when you're there talking to somebody completely change. And I actually thought that was really cool. There's tons of stories I could go through. There's relationships that happen in these buildings. Everybody, when you're around some people, a lot of people aren't used to being alone. So they may meet mom may meet another gentleman. Dad may meet, somebody else,
So I have, she passed away now, but my grandmother was in a nursing home, and we all went over for her birthday, and we were we used one of their conference rooms for her birthday party, and she was telling us about her boyfriend who lives in the nursing home, and we were excited for her. We were like, oh my gosh, you have a boyfriend? What do you guys do? What do you talk about? And they were both, in the wheelchair, but they would go out in the hallway in their wheelchairs and sit next to each other. And she said they would hold hands. I was like, oh, Grandma, that's so sweet that you sit there and hold hands with your boyfriend, And she's like, yep. And then sometimes his wife comes to visit, so I have to say goodbye until his wife leaves again. And I was like, oh, well, that's different. Okay. Yeah. But it cracks me up listening to it.
It's actually very interesting with that, because I know that's actually some couples' biggest fear about putting the other one in here.
Really?
Yes. There are times, I remember there was one gentleman in particular that I had to shower him because I was the only male there at the time. And she would not let a female shower him. She considered that cheating. And so even with all my dress clothes on and everything like that, I had to roll up the pants and give the shower, because that was the only way he was allowed to get a shower. And it's just very interesting, because some people, they don't want to say it, but some of the loved ones don't want to put their significant other in here because they're scared of that relationship.
Right.
And very similar story to what you were talking about. I actually had a couple like that. And then the wife did catch him holding hands and watching TV in the lounge. And he moved out about a week later.
Oh.
And I don't think it was his choice. But
yeah.
You still get jealous at that age,
Sure.
Jealousy doesn't leave you.
That's right. Yep. I get it. Okay. Well, so cool. So what brought you to Pennsylvania?
This job, actually. I was living in St. Louis at the time, finishing up school, and deciding what I wanted to do. And I got the phone call. Backstory, my mom is actually one of the partners. She's the COO of the company, and they had a spot open, and she kept nagging at me. And one of the other partners finally called me, that I've known for a long time, was like, this is your calling. You know what you're supposed to do. Oh. And he finally convinced me to join the team. And 8 years later, here I am, and almost 9 years now. Been in the same building and everything.
Very cool. Yeah. So climate, Pennsylvania, from where you came from, it's about the same?
Pretty much the same. Yeah. Missouri's not as old as Pennsylvania, but about the same. We get a little less snow, but you get a lot more ice in Missouri just because of the wind and everything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So you're no stranger to being cold.
Nope.
Yeah. Yep. So besides sledding, what's your favorite winter activity?
Pretty much just being with the family.
Yeah.
There's that warm feeling that everybody's together, and the holidays just kind of put you in a better mood.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's always fun watching the kids grow up year to year, just seeing them, like, Christmas is that mark that we usually put, like, this is what they were like last year. You got all the pictures, and then seeing them this year, it's always kind of cool to see and everything, but kind of sad watching them growing up so fast too, though.
Oh my gosh, it goes so quickly. It's funny, when my son was younger, I remember like all the older people telling me like, enjoy it because it's going to be gone soon. And I'm like, oh my gosh, enjoy it. Like, I'm working a full-time job. I'm doing all this and yada, yada, yada. But it's so true. Like, looking back, it went so fast.
Yep. I actually, my 6-year-old, I remember when she was born, this was right before COVID. I would come in to take somebody needed a tour on a Saturday or something like that. She was just a baby. Well, all these ladies in here were moms at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So she would come in as a baby all the way, and she still comes in for tours now. But they would feed her, they would take care of her, and after the tour, I'd actually have to go look for her who had her, and they did not want to give her up. But it's really cool because a lot of them that watched her while I was giving a tour and everything like that are still
Yeah.
here. And when they see her, they're just like, they remember when she was a baby to where she is now, and she's running around reading to them and all that stuff. So it's really cool because when you're in a building like this, I have 135 people in this in my East location where my office is, and
Wow.
it's like having 135 grandparents. It's like having 135 extended family members because
Yeah.
you see them out in public, you're taking care of their loved one, but when you see them 5 days a week, I mean, you get pretty close to everybody. You know some stories. You feel like you know the family. You see the family more than their family sees them. And
Yep.
so it's just kind of really cool because you get to meet a ton of family in this area. In York, it's nice because it's not the easiest town to break into. But, when you take care of their loved ones, they're a little more accepting and a little bit quicker than sometimes it takes people to get accepted in this town. I guess
Yeah.
that's the way I can explain it.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that. Yeah. So that you just reminded me when you said that she would read to them. When I was in, I want to say like second grade, my entire class went to nursing homes and we read to the residents. Like, I mean, think of somebody in second grade reading a book, but um, it was kind of a cool experience. So we got to pick whatever book we wanted to read, hopped on a bus, went in there, and then we got you know ponied up with one of the residents, and we just sat together and read the book that we brought, and that was fun. Is there any programs like that, or was that just like one thing that happened randomly for my class?
So we have different things that come in, different kind of schools that come in. Like right now with Christmas time, we get a lot of schools coming in, their choirs to sing to the residents and everything.
Oh yeah, that's
And
fun.
it's pretty much like twice a week for the month of December. There's
Wow.
always schools in here. We've had the band, but all the schools come around. It's not just one. We get Suburban. You can get West York over at our West location,
Yeah.
Central.
Hmm.
All the schools come in, and it's really nice because they love kids. They absolutely love seeing kids come in. If workers bring their children, they're spoiled. Um, they don't want to let them go. They'll give them whatever they want to be grandparents again.
Yep, I get that. Okay. Well, so we promised folks that if they stuck around until the end, you would share one of the biggest surprises that families discover after their loved one moves in to the Autumn House. So, if you had to say, what do you think a big surprise would be?
So, one thing that families, they stress when they come in and making this decision. And there's been times where I've had families where I say, I bet you in a month, I bet you lunch that when you come in, you can't find mom in her room. And they make that bet with me because she hasn't done anything for years and years and years. And they go out there and they realize, and I know I touched on this a little bit earlier, but she starts socializing again. You start seeing her out and about, making friends. And the next thing you know, she's wishing them goodbye. They're not even, she has her own place, their family visiting. They're not caregivers coming in. And you see her socializing. She made a friend group. She's going out on outings and things like that. And you're seeing mom from 20 years before that again. And it's the biggest warm feeling. I have residents that come up to me every single day and say, I hated this decision at first, and I don't understand how I lived the way I did for so long. They're like, even if it's something that doesn't interest me that day in activities, it's still more than what I would have done at home.
Right.
And they realize they still have all their freedoms. Men are in heaven when they, after the first month, when they find out that somebody cooks, cleans, and does your laundry and nobody yells at you. And so men adjust really fast. But when they see mom, who's been as stubborn as could be for the last 15-20 years, come in here and start socializing, I think it's just so eye-opening and so exciting to see. It's almost like you went back in time 20 years, and this is the mom that you wanted everybody to see. This is the dad you wanted everybody to see. And they're like, you always get that saying, he wasn't always like this, or she wasn't always like this. And now you get to see that personality come back,
Right.
Not just napping and eating and watching the same soap operas every single day. It's now like you actually have something to look forward to, not waiting on your calendar for, the kids come and visit every Monday, or, grandkids and stuff like that. Now they get to come and take mom or dad out, and they'll go out to dinner, to lunch. Some leave for the whole weekend. I still have a lady here. She'll go out and go to the they have a bonfire in the summertime every weekend. She'll go out, have a couple glasses of wine. They'll Uber her back, give us a heads up that she's coming back, and we help her back to the room.
That sounds great. I want to do that.
You don't lose your freedoms here. We're only here to help you with what you need help with. And that's the big misconception sometimes is, it can be fun here. It really can. And it's like having a big, giant family.
Yeah.
And it's just something that you get so accustomed to day after day after day. And then all of a sudden you come into a new environment and you're just seeing mom and dad completely different. It's an awesome feeling. Like I said before, you're not caregivers anymore. You're back to being a son and a daughter, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah. Now, before we go, I did want to touch on, because I remember you said that you have a memory care piece of it. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how what you do there is different from the rest of the community?
So the biggest difference between our personal care side and our memory care side is it's a secured unit. So a lot of times if your loved one's eloping or is having trouble expressing their needs, back there, it's a little different from the personal care, because in personal care, you have a call bell button. Back in memory care, we anticipate that you're going to need help. We know you're not going to know what time of the day it is, or to put your clothes on, or we're there for that safety aspect as well. Our biggest thing back there, though, is keeping people's dignity. And that is the hardest thing to see. A loved one who I have lawyers back there. I have somebody that worked for the NSA back there. Yeah. I have a lady that taught and graduated from Juilliard back there. And it's so hard to see this person where they're at now. And it's so hard for the families that they just want people to know that they weren't always like this. So getting that backstory and keeping that dignity is the number one thing back there. But it's also the safety aspect that's different than the personal care side. And that's this being, having that secured unit so they don't wander, or, sundownings and things like that. So it's a little more hands-on back there, and the staff is trained a little bit different. Patience is a big thing. But just making sure that everybody's comfortable. And the verbiage used back there is a little bit different, anticipating that help and that need and everything like that, and making sure that we can meet those needs.
Yeah, I get that. So I belong to the Hanover Rotary Club, and we have guest speakers come in. And one of the speakers last year or the year before, I don't remember, was from a memory care facility. And she explained, like, they might not remember what you just said 10 minutes ago, because the first thing that goes is the short-term memory, but they will always remember how you make them feel. So if you're getting frustrated with them, they're going to remember that feeling. So the next time you come in, they're going to recognize the feeling that you gave them. They're not going to know why they feel that way, but they will remember it. So it's like, you just got to be patient and stay calm, keep your cool. Just, yeah. Patience, what you said, that's the key word.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that.
Inconsistency as well. So I always feel like it's very important to have that routine and being very consistent with that routine.
And it has to be hard for them too. I mean, being a teacher from Juilliard or being an attorney, like, it has to be frustrating for them not to express like fully and not have the same abilities that they used to have to communicate properly. Like, it's got to be tough.
Absolutely. And it's actually hard for the loved one as well, because they're used to seeing, mom was the most loving person in the world, and you're losing that consciousness where everything she held back is now coming out, and she went from the sweetest lady in the world to she lets you know every single thing she is thinking. And, that's always hard to hear. Or, dad being a lawyer, and now he can't form a sentence very well, and that's just it, and that's where that dignity aspect comes into play. Yeah. We want to make sure that, we know their backstory. We want the staff to know who they were, not who they are right now. And we want to make sure that, they're well respected back there as well.
Love it. Well, Michael, this has been so much fun. You are a wealth of knowledge. If somebody wanted to get in touch to have a tour, where would they go? Who would they call? How would they get in touch with you?
Hey, you can call into the building. You can ask for me. I'd be more than happy to give a tour. But, even if I'm not here, I have other staff. You can always walk in. That would love to show you around. If you want to set up an appointment, just give me a call or anything like that, and I'd be more than happy to tour you around.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on. I'm sure our listeners got a lot out of this.
Thank you.
So, it's, again, truly my pleasure. Thank you for coming on. So that wraps up another episode of Bodacious Estate Conversations. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with more great stories and tips soon. Bye.
Bodacious Estate Conversations isn't just chatter. It's about learning, taking action, and finding solutions that actually work. If today's episode resonated, share your thoughts, subscribe, leave a review, and pass it along to someone who could use a hand. More stories, smart strategies, and practical guidance are coming in the next episode. Don't miss it.